I suspect that's right. All right, see you later.
Good morning, everybody. This is kind of always the toughest part. All right, transition towards your seats with your coffee. I appreciate it. It's a great fun setting up these E2 Tech events. And, powerful events. Good morning, everybody. My name is Marty Broman. I have the pleasure and honor of serving as Executive Director of E2 Tech. I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank everybody on the live stream. Hello. This is a E2 Tech in-house live stream production, and we're pretty proud of it. I think it's working well. I know that we're going to a science class in Bangor, among many other interesting locations. E2 Tech events are free for students. And can I get a show of hands, students in the audience? So thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Could I get a show of hands, elected officials in the audience? All right, we could not do this. I hope you don't feel like you're at caucus. I know many of the caucus events are held in this very room. The restrooms are back here for both the men's and the women's. If you've attended a lot of caucus meetings here, one of the things that you know is it is possible to sneak around that side if you wish, if you need to pop out. E2 Tech events would not happen without our sponsors, and this event is different. We're very blessed to have the event greened by Maine Green Power. If you don't use this service, it's a few bucks a month on your energy bill. It makes a difference. VHB, TRC, and Maine Biz are great sponsors. Northeast Clean Energy provided us funding to put this event together. And the Maine State Bar Association, Environment and Energy, sign in if you're looking for legal education credits. We have sustaining partners. These are people who make a commitment to E2 Tech year-round. That top level, Burns and Mac, is $5,000, $2,500 at the sustaining leader level. I'd like to especially welcome SMRT this morning. Show of hands from SMRT, if you would. New at the sustaining leader level. Thank you so much. And the sustaining stewards, we absolutely could not pull these things together without you. This is the $1,000 level. It makes a huge difference to this organization, and I'd like to argue to the state. So thank you. If you are an E2 Tech member, let us email you one of these logos for your website or other marketing materials. We hope that it burnishes your image. I'm sure that it does. And a reminder on the CLEs. And one more thing I wanted to do, if I may, Commander Chris Smith, would you stand up? So Chris is our guest today. He's a commander in the US Navy down at the Pentagon. He's transitioning from his military service next August, as I understand it. He'll be moving to the Brunswick area. He's a high potential skilled executive that will be looking for work. So, We got a great holiday mixer. No one will be delivering remarks. It will just be you networking in South Portland at Revision Energy on December 4th. So I hope to see you there. And with that, it's my pleasure to hand things over to E2 Tech Board Chair Tom Eschner to run us through our annual meeting. Tom, the floor is yours.
So I get to follow the remark from Marty that in December, no one will be giving remarks. So thank you. I appreciate that. Good morning, welcome. Thank you for coming to this annual meeting, which I'm sure is not the primary reason you're here, and to the forum, which I'm sure is the reason. My name is Tom Eschner. As Marty indicated, I'm a senior project manager at TRC in Scarborough, but it's as board chair that I have the privilege of speaking with you this morning. So in the next few minutes, and I do emphasize few, I want to run through our obligatory annual meeting. There are very few things that we actually have to do, so I'll keep it brief. So our mission statement, as you are aware, E2 Tech is Maine's leading energy, environmental, and clean tech business, economic development organization, if you will. We really pride ourselves on providing objective information for you, intelligent people, to make decisions and to formulate policy. We don't advocate for specific positions. We try to make information available that people in the state, people who are policymakers, decision makers, and just plain intelligent people can use in figuring out how to run their lives and how to live together with others. Now for something that I'm sure is somewhat somnolent, if not, if you had trouble sleeping last night, I should have forwarded this to you. This is our antitrust policy. We are obligated to make you aware of it. I can just sum it up in 2 short words: no collusion. So it takes financial resources to run a nonprofit. E2 Tech is fortunate to have a variety of income sources that allow us to distribute our dividends to you, and those dividends are objective information. As you can see, and as Marty mentioned, members, member dues provide, and partnerships, our sustaining partnerships, provide about a quarter of our income. Sponsorships provide about a quarter, and contracts and grants provide about half of our income. So it's not only important that you help us, it's essential, and we very much appreciate that. Marty also talked about a couple of folks we're working with. We have, in addition to the individual program-based partnerships that we sometimes pursue to provide a particular message out, we also have some longer-term partnerships that not only bring us income, but also allow us to share information, mutually beneficial sharing of information with our partner organizations, promoting their interests in their organization, and them promoting us. In particular, the New England Clean Energy Coalition, or excuse me, Council, sorry, too many C's, and not the other NECEC that's the focus of so much interest in the state at this time. At any rate, we are an affiliate with NECEC, and we are a partner with Bio-Based Maine. I want to give a shout out to a investors summit that we are promoting with them, tentatively scheduled for April of the coming year. So if you want to put that on your calendar, that's good. Talked about objective information to the community. The way we do that is obviously through our forums. Here are last year's events, fiscal year's events. I'm not going to run through them. No surprise, timely topics in both energy and environment. Well attended. Is there anyone who can, just like that, tell me how many total participants we had? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, okay. 1,403. And I know that only because Marty told me this morning. So if you have attended some of these, that's great. If you're looking for a New Year's resolution, put it on your list to attend more. That would be wonderful. People who have gone to these have lived to go on to ordinary lives and actually had fun. So you can see some of your colleagues and friends and acquaintances here, learning, enjoying themselves. You may have seen our very own Marty Groman, Executive Director, as he indicated. He joined us on Earth Day of this year, a very auspicious start. You may also have met Adelaide Taylor. She's at the registration desk. She also is hobbling around. Oh, no, she's not. She apparently sprained her ankle. She's zipping around, helping register and making sure that things are going just right. So we welcome both of them and very much appreciate their work. Okay, E2Tech has a talented volunteer board of directors that represents the full range of interests of the organization. The enthusiasm with which they serve is inspiring to me. Their service. Would board members stand, please? Nobody's fencing. Okay. Most of them are, okay. We do have one piece of business in addition to the statement. We also have a slate of candidates renewing board members whose terms are expiring. These people have all indicated their enthusiasm to continue in that role as a board member. I would ask that if those E2Tech members approve of their continuation as board members, that if there's anyone opposed, please say nay or see me afterwards and we have a spot for you. Thank you very much and welcome back, folks. Thank you. If you are interested in becoming an E2Tech committee member or eventually a board member, please see one of the board members and talk about opportunities. And I know that as you sit here, you are saying to yourself, how can I help? So first of all, you're here. That's a help. Thank you. If you are not a member, become a member. If you are a member, become a sustaining partner or sustaining steward. You can sponsor and you can join a committee and express interest in serving the organization. That's the extent of our meeting. Thank you very much for your interest. And now I will turn it over to the real reason you came here, Mr. William Ferdinand Jr. You're probably scratching your head. You may know him as Bill. It gives me great pleasure to introduce him. He is chair of the Legislative and Government Relations Practice Group at Eaton Peabody. Moderator par excellence.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning, everyone. As you know from the program, we have a panel of experts and people that are involved in environmental policy, specifically the bills of Environmental and Natural Resources Committee in the legislature. And I would say that we're not going to get into ACF or IFMW or Marine Resources, other committees that are resource oriented, but this will focus on the Environmental and Natural Resources Committee. So with us today is a commissioner from the DEP, Reid, Rebecca Graham from the Maine Municipal Association, Pete Didisheim from the Natural Resources Council of Maine, and Curtis Picard from the Maine Retailers. What we're going to do today is I have a series of slides that are by topic, and so our discussion will be by topic, and we'll show the slide and then allow these folks to comment on the topics as we go along. So as I said, the ENR committee, they had 92 bills this year, and out of that, 30 laws and 4 resolves came admitted during the process for the second session. So they're probably closer to 30 bills, I would guess. I don't know exactly what that's. And there is a document, if you care about what those bills were and what happened to them, and there's a good summary of them. The Office of Policy and Legal Analysis of the Legislature has a great document. There's the website for it, the link to look at those summaries. It's a great tool. So the first topic that we're going to talk about are administrative changes at the DEP. We have 3 bills here. One is to deal with the Board of Environmental Protection's authority. Jerry's probably going to talk a lot more about this. The DEP notice to municipalities and NRPA, that's more of an administrative notice to make sure that the permit or the denial for each permit goes to the municipality where the activity is occurring. And then notice of violation, this came up down in South Portland, so Senator Millett sponsored this bill, And it's another notification of the municipality of a notice of violation by DEP or EPA. So I'm going to stop right there and focus on these bills right now and let our panelists talk about as they want to, about things that are behind the bill or things that we see going forward from the bill. Jerry, you want to start on that?
Sure. Is this mic on? Yeah. So the first bill about restoring the BEP's authority is probably not one of the more glamorous bills that came out of the committee this session, but I do think it's an important one. And a lot of people in the room remember a time when the BEP was a much more prominent institution in the area of environmental regulation. And that was true up until 2011, when there was a regulatory reform bill that went through the legislature that reduced the scope of the BEP's responsibilities and made some other changes to its work. And so I was in the Attorney General's office at that time, and I had an opportunity to see the BEP in action before that change in the law, and then I saw it in action after that change. And it was clear to me that the BEP performs an important role in a number of ways, and some of them are pretty obvious. It enhances opportunities for public participation, and it brings transparency to the process. But it also, I think, even more importantly, there's something inherent in the process of the DEP commissioner and the DEP staff knowing that they will have to go to a public meeting with the board, a seven-member citizen oversight board, and explain their actions and decisions and the rationale supporting them in a public session. Just knowing that going into a decision-making process, I think, has great value and almost inherently leads to a better result. So the changes that this bill made were to restore the board authority over routine technical rulemaking, and also the authority to review and approve consent agreements, which are administrative resolutions, settlements, and enforcement actions. And both of those areas are potentially very significant. And I think the board had become marginalized, and it's an important institution, and giving these responsibilities back to the board, I think, will bring new life to the board, and as I said, lead inherently to a better decision-making process. Now, I know what you're all thinking, which is that the current commissioner does not need additional citizen oversight. He's wise and he's benevolent. All those things are true. I don't want to discourage that line of thinking, but even so, regardless of who the commissioner is at the time, who the governor is, I just think that there's inherent value in having the board perform these responsibilities for the department.
I can jump in on this also. Can you hear me on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's everything he said is true. He is wise and benevolent, and we were delighted that he introduced as a DEP agency bill, and Senator Bob Foley was the sponsor of this bill to restore routine technical rulemaking, all rulemaking approvals to the BEP and oversight of consent agreements. Since 2011, when these responsibilities were taken away from the BEP, our experience has been that rulemaking has been really an insider's game. The public has had really no idea what is going on through the rulemaking process. It was hard for the public to find on the DEP website draft rules that were posted for comment, and it was really hard to even find the public meeting room where you could go provide comments. And so this change helps bring rulemaking back into the light of day, and I think the BEP has an important role to provide oversight, as Jerry has described. On the restoring enforcement oversight and approval of consent agreements to the BEP, that also is important to do in the light of day. Over the last 8 years, our activities have plummeted. There were many months where there were zero enforcement actions by the DEP. It was hard for the public to understand and see when there were significant violations of our environmental laws. And our sense is that Our environmental safeguards are only as good as education and compliance and enforcement. And it's important for the regulated community to understand our rules and regulations, to comply with them and know that there's inspections. And when violators are found, when there's been violations, for that enforcement action to happen and for the BEP to have a role in approving those consent agreements. And it used to be that
yeah, and also policy on the ground. So it's really important to have their input, and it's important for them to actually have another group besides the regulators to actually talk about, okay, this is what you want to do. This is the actual impact of that on the ground. So having that board oversight is really important too, because ultimately routine technical rules are often unfunded mandates that get handed down to municipalities and impact local property tax pretty significantly. So we're also very pleased with that. The two notice bills, 1320 and 1706, those actually provide a lot of information for, again, the folks that are actually delivering the environmental regulation policy on the ground in the municipalities. So for 1320, the NRPA permits, municipalities were getting a brief application of what the action was, but the materials that were associated with that application weren't transferred automatically to those communities. So a lot of questions about someone's permit would come into the municipality first, and it takes a lot of time for municipal officials to actually chase this information out. So that the electronic delivery that is posed by 1320, as well as the inclusion of all of the materials that went into the NRPA permit to the department is really important for municipal officials to understand what it is that's happening within their communities as well. And the same goes with 1706. There are notifications that you can sign up for on email, but it is issued in a PDF format, and it's really challenging to figure out if any sort of violation occurred within your community. You have to scroll through all of those violations that went through. So the actual targeted air quality responses to that municipality provide some really timely information and save time for municipal officials. So we're delighted with this one.
Chris, anything to add? No.